This is my first Scripps Families Weekend, and I'm very excited to be here and to share this time with you. Now, that's not to say that I haven't had experience with other family weekends and with other families, but as some of you may know, prior to coming here, I was located at a graduate school. And at a graduate school, we actually also talked a lot about our students' families, although we meant their significant others and their children. So this is a little bit of a shift, and one that became really readily apparent from the day that my position and was announced, when I got many lovely congratulatory and best wishes emails from probably people in this room and in general a number of parents, which I was really pleased to get. I've loved this shift to meeting our students, parents, and aunts and uncles and grandparents, and I'm pleased to say that there are already a number of you who I consider my friends. My aim in the session today is really to talk to you about some of the things going on here on campus. I think that many families come to campus this weekend to get a sense of the day in the life of their students, and I will try to give you some of that texture, and of course you'll get much more throughout the course of the weekend. And then I also am going to save plenty of time at the end for questions for me that you may have. So let me start with academics. We are, after all, a school, and your students are here to take classes and to study and learn, and they are doing a lot of that. For those of you who have first-year students, you know that last semester they finished their Core 1 course, which is always an intense and shaping and forming experience. It's one of the really unique aspects of the curriculum at Scripps, is that all of our students do this interdisciplinary humanities core program. So your students survived that, and they are now on to their Core 2 courses, which continue in the theme of community that they started out with in the fall, but now in a sort of more specialized context. And they are doing that, taking all kinds of different classes. There's a student who was telling me yesterday that her Core 2 course is on the notion of kinship and how different cultures consider kinship, how it's looked at across different generations and historical time periods. Sounds fascinating. And she said, "It is the best class I've ever taken." So makes my heart sing. Lots of other topics. There are Core 2 courses on contracts and death and the economics of gender and choice. And so lots of different things for our students to choose from. For those of you like Cheryl and David who have seniors, you know that our seniors have been deeply at work on their theses. And that's another unique component of the Scripps education. We are one of the few colleges left that requires every student to complete a thesis in order to graduate. And our seniors do amazing things with their theses. I'm really looking forward to later in the spring, we do the capstone day where students are selected to present the work that they did on their thesis, and I can't wait to see some of them. We also have about 60% of our students go abroad at some point in their time at Scripps, most of them during their junior year, and so that means that our sophomores right now are many of them kind of trying to decide whether they are in fact going to go abroad. If they're going to go abroad, will it be fall or spring? Where should they go, and on what program should they go? And they're balancing their interests as well as what requirements do they have left for their major and how are they going to fit that all together. Very quickly becomes an issue here for students of how are they going to do all of the things that they want to do and all of the things that they can do here. I've been very struck in my time here that our students are very broad-minded. They tend to do a wide range of things and not defined in, I think, the typical categories. So just as an example, a week ago we had a presentation from the Student Investment Fund, and they were introducing the different officers of their club. And now, you know, some of you may know, I come from a business school. I've met students who are in student investment clubs before, and they tend to be the econ types. And then along comes an officer of the Student Investment Club here at Scripps who's an English major. And I think that is just prototypic Scripps, that our students combine through their majors and through their extracurricular activities, just this sort of things that we often see as opposites or not typically paired together. And again, we see this in the theses that they create as well as their extracurricular engagement. And so let me talk to you a little bit about all that we offer in terms of extracurriculars. About a week ago, U.S. News & World Report put us at the top of their list of the 10 colleges where it's easiest to join clubs. And I just will then mention, too, the other colleges on this list of 10 were Pomona and Harvey Mudd. So right here in Claremont is the place to join clubs, clearly. At Scripps, we have 30 what we call clorgs. That was a word I had to learn this fall. What is a clorg, you may ask? A clorg is a club or organization. And there are officially 30 of them, but it's so easy to start them and to get involved that one of our students was quoted as saying, "There are as many clubs as there are students here," which is not quite true, but almost. And there are another 300 that students can join across the Claremont colleges through the consortium. The clerks do all kinds of things and a lot of just organizing around engaging students in lots of different ways outside of the classroom. So they put on informational forums, sometimes related to alcohol and drinking policy and use on the campus, sometimes related to issues specific to international students, sometimes about how to support one another in their academics. They also do fun things like open mic nights, poetry slams, and musical performances. And there are lots of social gatherings. This year we've seen a trend about them being organized around kinds of food. So there have been pizza nights, chili nights, taco nights, and there was a Kai Bowl afternoon. So our students like to eat. We also have athletes here, as many of you know. In the fall, our cross-country team, the Athenas, won their conference championship, and many of our Scripps students won conference, regional, and All-American awards. Our soccer and volleyball teams also had very successful seasons, and now we are into the spring sports with swimming, diving, basketball, and water polo all going strong. I would encourage any of you who can brave whatever weather we have this afternoon to go out and check out the softball game that will be happening in the soccer match. You may also know that Scripps has a long history of being very involved in the arts, and I hope while you're here you'll swing by the museum and see our collections, which are really truly remarkable, especially for a college of our size. Many museums want their pieces displayed here, so we get lots of loaners, but we also own a quite impressive set as well. And those, many of those pieces, I should say, actually have been donated by friends, alumni, and parents of this institutions, and so we're grateful for that. Our students are really involved in both the fine arts and performance arts, and there are sort of constantly performances that reflect that. So our dance students did an annual fall concert. We've had the Claremont Concert Choir, the Chamber Choir, and the Concert Orchestra all provided fall performances. There was also very interesting this fall an interdisciplinary festival of Japanese theater. And this one, because it was interdisciplinary, it wasn't just theater. There were art exhibitions that tied into this festival. And there was a performance in which, in fact, one of our students actually composed an original piece of music for it. On that note, I should also say that tomorrow afternoon, there will be a concert here in Garrison where two of our faculty members will be performing, but one of the pieces that they will be performing was composed by one of our alums, just a graduate of 2016. So I encourage you to come and hear that. We have many of upcoming recitals and concerts coming, some of them having to do with those theses that I mentioned before. So students who are majoring in areas where performance is the appropriate sort of final act, they will provide those for us. Along with our sort of ongoing curricular and co-curricular programming, we do a lot at Scripps to do sort of one-off events that add, I think, hugely to just the dynamism of the campus and are part of the intellectual development of your students. A couple that I would just highlight from this year, we have a relatively new leadership center, and they did their first in a series of leadership summits, which they titled Leading for Good. And that leadership focused on really the role of leadership in producing a good world. We also have a series that we call the Scripps Presents series, and Scripps Presents is oriented toward bringing faces of the world out there to Scripps and Scripps to the world. And we've had as speakers in that series so far, we've had people like political correspondent Melissa Harris Perry. We had Eddie Huang, who is the creator of the Fresh Off the Boat television sitcom. And just a week or two ago, actress Anna Devere Smith was here. Earlier this week, Lisa Lucas, who is the executive director of the National Book Foundation, was here. And these great people come to campus, they give a talk, they meet with students, they meet sometimes one-on-one with students, sometimes in small groups, and are really available to talk to the students about their own career paths, about their perceptions of the world that these students are entering, and so we've been very excited about that programming. Later in the semester, as part of Scripps Presents, we will be welcoming MSNBC's Chris Hayes and attorney and former presidential candidate Ralph Nader. Now, one of the things that parents often ask me, and these questions do, I would say, come more from parents than from the students themselves, is about what is going to happen to their student once they are done with Scripps. So we're all sure that they're having a great experience here, but what next? And we've been, in our career planning and resources office, putting a lot of effort into increasing our programming around career planning and resources, and helping students think about their options and learn more about what the possibilities are for them, which we think are huge. Let me just highlight a few of the programs that we've done this year in that regard. One is a program we actually started last year called Scripps in Residence. Scripps in Residence brings a few alumni and parents to campus for a few days in the fall semester and gives those alumni and parents real intense time with the students, or I should say, gives the students intense time with them. We purposely construct this to have a set of folks who really represent very different career paths and professions. This year we had Caroline Gibney from the class of '85, Linda Ranlett Kohler from the class of '66, Bruce Felt, who's a father of Scripps student Kimberly Felt, class of '17, and Cheryl Holland, the mother of Hannah Quackenbush, class of '18, who came and shared their stories and their advice and ideas with our students in all of these different settings. We also did this year the Emerging Professionals program, which is a week-long program for our students that focuses on their sort of development and exploring of career options. So this program includes self-assessment, career assessment, figuring out your personal brand, and getting practice interviewing and working on one's professional presence. In this program, we depended heavily on the volunteerism of parents. David Scheidemantel, who you just saw and met, was one of those parents, and I thank you, David, and all of the parents who made that program possible for us. Another thing we're doing in career planning and resources that's been quite exciting for our students is organizing more of what we call treks. Treks are trips with small groups of students that go to a particular geographic area to do a deeper dive into a particular industry or sector. So we had a trek last year to the Bay Area that focused on technology, one to Los Angeles that focused on media and entertainment, and we'll be doing one this spring to Washington, D.C., looking at government, public policy, and advocacy. We're also in the process of planning one back to the Bay Area, but this time focusing on marketing and public relations. These treks also really depend on parents. So M.R. Rangaswamy, who's a parent of a student from the class of 2019, he sponsored and made possible the tech trek. He also helped secure Salesforce as a host for it. On that same trek, Raj Yavakatar, who's a parent from the class of 2011, helped us secure VMware as a visiting place. When we go to Washington this spring, the Gudar family, has a student in the class of 2017, will be hosting our networking reception. So we're very grateful to our parents who help us make those treks possible. Now, we see all of these efforts as really paying off now that our seniors are getting close to the end of their time here at Scripps. We're starting to see them firm up very exciting plans. We have finalists and winners of prestigious awards such as the Watson Fellowship and the Howard Hughes Medical Institute Fellowship. Our students are getting accepted to law schools and medical schools. Students have job offers from organizations like the Capital Group, the Center for Infectious Disease Studies, McKinsey, and Teach for America. And I also love this list because it again reinforces really the breadth of things that our students do here. There's no one prototypic Scripps student other than that they're all doing really interesting things. As I'm sure you all know, in order for us to provide the programming that we do and to be able to achieve our mission, we engage in fundraising, and we're in the midst of a campaign. I am really pleased to report that the campaign is going well. We've raised around $134 million. We recently announced 2 extraordinary gifts for endowed professorships. This is a kind of gift that really supports our academic programming and helps us achieve our mission of academic excellence. In terms of parents, I want to be really just a thank you because of the 134 that I mentioned, about 50 million of that has been given by current and past parents. And it's not just about totals, but in fact, we have huge participation from our parents. So last year, to the Parents Fund, about 47% of current parents gave to the Parent Fund, and we're really hoping this year to beat that record. Parents are also involved, as I've mentioned, through a lot of the programming that we do in career planning and resources, but they also get involved through the Parent Leadership Council, through regional family chapters, and through helping us with the LASPA Center for Leadership. So we're very grateful to you for all of your various kinds of contributions. Now, I know, and I imagine you may share with me that sort of wherever I go, the conversation seems to be about what's happening in Washington these days. And so one of the most common questions I get is, how did the election affect Scripps and what's going on there as a post-election? And it's a complicated question to answer in any kind of simple or succinct way, but I'm going to try here, and we can talk about it more if you have further questions. So one of the things is that whenever sort of something surprising or different than what was predicted happens, it always provides us with a wonderful educational opportunity, and we've tried to take advantage of that here. I think quite spontaneously after the election, a number of faculty in their courses spent time discussing how their fields have something to say about what happened and what's happening. We also had a number of symposia looking at various different issues that came up in the election. One of the ones that fascinated me was that the Media Studies Department put together a symposium on the role of media in this election, which was obviously huge, and they covered topics like social media, the notion of fake news, etc. I think, as I said, I think everywhere part of the story of this election was the unexpected nature of the outcome. And as an educator, what I see, and as someone actually who spent her former life studying emotions and the effect of emotions on cognition, it wasn't surprising for me to see that as things happen that we don't expect, one outcome is that people start to ask more questions. And that's part of what I've seen amongst our students, is a real questioning of what is the world that they live in? What is it going to become? Why is it this way? Where are the differences between how they see the world and how other people see the world? How did those differences come about? And I've seen on the part of our students quite a bit of reflection on those questions, as well as a really renewed interest amongst our students to think about the way in which they want to engage and impact the world. I think some of you, anyway, saw some evidence of that in the flyers that you were handed as you walked in the door today. In my mind, this is part of what should happen at college. In college, students should be thinking about what kind of world they want to live in as adults, what kind of world they want to create, and how are they going to get there. And I see our students, I think students at Scripps have for a long time had an interest in those questions, but I do think that this election kind of reignited those in a different way, and it's exciting for me as an educator to watch the students grapple with those questions. And we try to support them in all ways that we can in that process. And I think in general, what I hope you found through your maybe a few steps away view of Scripps is that we try to support the students through their learning process. This is a place that strives to create an environment where there's lots of interaction. We believe that that is how deep learning occurs. And this happens at the level of the faculty. The faculty who are here because they love to talk to the students, because they see the students as a way that they themselves will learn. It's also true through our student dean's office and the student affairs team. One person who your student should really know, and if they don't, you can ask them about this after the session, is their primary contact dean. This is a relatively new structure that we have. Every student is assigned a primary contact dean, and that person is there as a resource for your student to help them figure out how to best navigate their time at Scripps. And so I hope you will encourage your student to take good advantage of that person. I want to just conclude by talking a little bit in this context particularly about the importance to me of family in the way in which I lead this college. I am myself, as many of you know, a parent. I have 2 children who are not yet ready for college, although in their own way both of them might disagree with that statement. I'm an aunt of two children who I hope will go to college, and the sister of 2 women, one of whom went to a small liberal arts college like I did, and the other who now wishes that she did. And I am the daughter of 2 educators who spent the majority of their careers at small liberal arts colleges. When I was considering whether to come to Scripps, those sort of family connections were very much on my mind and were a very part of why I came here. And really paramount in that, I have to say, was thinking about Scripps and my daughter. The more I learned about Scripps, the more I felt that Scripps was a place that I wanted to not just exist, but to really thrive by the time my daughter is ready to go to college. And I find myself often when I'm sort of puzzling about problems here at Scripps, which, like any place, there are many, and my job is to puzzle about them. But as I puzzle about them, I frequently think of my daughter and think about what kind of place I would want for her in trying to determine what to do. Now, all of our children are individuals. They need different things and they want different things. But I think we all hope that college is life-altering, that in college students make lifelong friendships, and that they are challenged to think harder and deeper than they ever had before. We also hope that when they think that hard and when they're challenged that much, they become better human beings. Not that I'm saying that your children aren't perfect already. But I hope and I think that by being challenged in this way, it will really serve them well as they pursue whatever their dreams are for the future. That's what I want for my children out of college, and that's what I want for your children out of this college. And every day, what we try to do here is produce that experience. With that, I would thank you very much. I do want to take a brief moment to really extend my gratitude to David and Cheryl. They have led the Parent Leadership Council as co-chairs in such an amazing way, been so inclusive to our parent community, and just collaborated with us in a way that I hate to say is going to be hard for someone to meet. So we really thank you, and we will really, really miss you. And we hope you'll still be back anyway.